If you want to add a user on the system, you do that under user management. So when you go to user management, first of all, you need to set up roles and permission that you want the user that you want to add have access to. You first have to set up roles and then permissions for that person. So you go to roles and then you click on the add button to add and set up to add a role and then set up the permissions that you want this user to have access to. So let's say you are adding a cashier. The user you want to add will serve as a cashier. So you create a role for cashier. You name the role as cashier, and then you assign permissions that you want this cashier to have access to. So these are all permissions available on the system. So you have to go through each of these permissions to see which one you have to assign to this user that you want to add. So for example, if you want the user to be able to add users and then view users on the system, then you check this box. But if you don't want them to be able to delete a user, if you don't want them to be able to edit user, then you uncheck this box. But if you want them to add, then you check all the boxes. So for example, even if you don't want them to have access to this user section, you just uncheck the whole of this section and then they will not have access to. So you go through each of these permissions and then see which one you want to assign to this particular user. So for example, if you want this person to view POSL, then you check it. If you want them to add, you check it. If you don't want them to edit, you leave it. If you don't want them to delete POSL, you just leave it unchecked. And then you also go through to see which other ones you want to give access to this particular user. So when you are done, you just scroll down and then you save this and have the role set up on the system. So when you are done setting up the role and then the permissions, you now go and add the user that you want to add. So you go to user management and then you select users. So here you have the option to add a new user. So you click on the add button here to add a new user. So here you have to enter the details of the user that you want to add. You provide the name of the user, the email, and then if they are active member, then you leave this box checked. And then also go ahead and provide their login access if they will have a login access. So for example, if you want this person to be able to log in on the system and then operate on the system, you enter their username, you create a username for them, and also set up their password for them. So when you are done providing the username and password, then you go ahead and select the role that you want this particular person to have. So in this case, let's say we want to create a user to perform as a cashier. So you select the cashier role for this person. And then if your business have multi-branch, have more than one branch, then you can come here and select the particular branch that you want this person to operate from. So it could be the main store, or if you had other branch, you just select a particular one that you want this user to operate from. But then if it is a single location business, so you don't have to worry about this. You just leave it selected, all locations selected, and then you move on. So these are other information that you can provide, but then they are optional. So you can go through to see which ones you want to provide for this user. And when you are done, you just scroll down and then you click on save to have this user saved on the system. So when you are done saving, then go ahead and give the username and password that you've set up for this user. You give it to them to to log in to the system and then start operating on the system. So this is how you add a user and assign their roles to them.